Hi, my name is Richard Downs, proud, angry and strong. I am a disabled person. I was institutionalised as a child in a special school. I survived that experience. On account of what happened there, I acquired a speech impairment, and much later I developed, in turn, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. I worked in the disabled people's movement for 25 years as an advocate, an activist and an engagement worker. But I am now an emerging socially engaged activist, poet. But I changed direction almost 3 years ago following redundancy. I tend to operate within disability and survivors movements. I am keen to take poetry to the streets in support of protest, campaigns, actions. More than that, though, I am looking to work with mixed audiences in mainstream settings so I can continue to get a message across. This message is obviously based on personal experience and from an understanding of the social model of disability, which sees me define disability as discrimination based on impairment. My own experience of discrimination came in education and employment, but this left me at a disadvantage in other places such as housing, social and leisure life. I am an associate artist at Disability Arts Online. I use this as a platform to reach my most natural audience. I provide weekly poems, freely available and accessible to readers who know where this platform is. I seek to increase knowledge of the interface through social media. Disability Arts Online use accessible fonts and strategies which make visual arts more accessible. I am developing skills in video to attract non-readers, though to date this means simply sitting in front of a camera as I am now. I am poet in residence at Hornsey Town Hall Facebook group. Our local town hall was falling apart but was being used by a local community as an arts and employment hub. The council eventually sold it off as a boutique hotel to a group based in Hong Kong with accounts in the Cayman Islands. Keen to support community involvement and ownership, I started writing poems based on the articles within the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, because a tree had been planted in front of the town hall by Amnesty International, celebrating 50 years of this declaration being signed. I facilitate a monthly open mic event at the Highgate Society. This is one of the oldest and largest civic societies in this country. This has opened a new audience of older people up to me. The society focuses on protecting our environment. It was there I started writing about climate chaos. I met someone at an exhibition who is developing an Extinction Rebellion group in Tower Hamlets. My partner and I provided a video to be live streamed during this time of pandemic. I am also curator of Red Rhymes Live. This is a unique poetry circle including guest poets from both the disability and mental health survivors movement. It has meant meeting new poets from impairment groups I had previously had no connection with. I seek to involve and pay as many poets as I can, but I do not make judgments in terms of who is good enough to participate, and I strive to see or hear the work of poets before I engage them. I have found that a recommendation from someone without my standards and expectations can have a negative impact on the evening and performance of other poets. The style I use puts an onus on performers to participate equally, whilst also demonstrating their own unique performance styles. Clearly I work with disabled people, mental health service users and older people. All these groups are natural fits for me as a disabled person, mental health service survivor and an older person. I'm also finding my activist acumen allows me to step outside of these reference points and find common ground with others. I am reflecting back on conservation and climate chaos groups I have developed links with here, but it's also my experience from open mics that others appreciate my voice and feel that I have something worth saying. It is this concept of a unique voice that makes inclusivity in the performing arts important. I also think it is the unique voice that keeps us on the outside looking in. This sense of distance remains important. It points as much towards our success in coming out and achieving as it does to society's ongoing failure to properly include. As long as just one of us remains outside, we cannot claim that inclusivity works. We still need our own groups, our own audiences, but we also need to attract insiders outwards. Right, I actually meant outsiders inwards then. Right, or did I? Insiders need to come to our perimeter to meet us on the basis of what we have to offer, to experience qualities we have to offer. We still need to develop qualities. Better schooling may help. Inclusivity is a stepping stone, nothing more. It is a new standard to test society against. We have come a long way in a short time. We have not, however, gone far enough. Back in the 1990s, we opposed charity contesting their behaviours in speaking for us, deigning to decide how our lives should look. We fought for rights. I was involved in DAN. DAN stands for the Disabled People's Direct Action Network. But we campaigned for civil rights. We did not achieve this. We was offered the DDA instead. DDA, does that mean Disability Discrimination Act, or more truthfully, did DDA really mean don't do anything? We focused on accessible transport, and that was an easy win in some ways, though there are still issues with this, which is why I'm now involved with a Facebook group called Inequality Alert. Another example of how far we have come, and yet how far we still have to go. The Accessible Transport campaign was planned as a first stepping stone. We then led a campaign called Free Our People, which sought the closure of all institutions. Some of our members got really serious about this without noticing that this led to a call for independent living, which many of us are still not allowed to achieve. Our inclusivity in art, in performance arts, cannot be guaranteed without our right to freedom. Independence is about us choosing our own life, controlled on our own terms. When we achieve this, our own ownership of the arts will become closer. Right now, it is still the institution that owns too much of what we are already delivering. Definitions of inclusivity reveal this truth. Take, for instance, inclusivity as a practice or policy of including people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalised, such as those who have physical or mental disabilities and members of minority groups. Or, another definition, inclusivity as providing equality of opportunity for people with disabilities and allowing, do you hear that? And allowing them to participate and collaborate in class instead of segregating them. Either way, it is about society providing. It is not about us taking for ourselves. The performing arts industry still needs to step up. In terms of the social model, it still needs to demonstrate improved attitudes, greater access to the environment we work and create in. And they also need to demonstrate trust in our own organisational abilities. There are concerns about Quisling arts of disabled people shopping out to institutional patronage. This is a negative critique of both performer and agencies they become involved with. Until society learns, we must take strength and demand a platform for disability arts. That is, art by disabled people based on the political position of our disabled people's movement. Can we do this ourselves? We can do a lot more than what we used to. I give my written work away. It's worth it. It's another way of spreading a key message of equality, rights, independence. I showcase talent and ability when curating Red Rhymes live poetry events, but I also provide workshops. A recent workshop in Merton with disabled people at the Centre of Independent Living led to the publication of a book of poems from people who would not necessarily define as poets. My rant is almost over. Who and what inspires my practice? My own life experience, of course, who I am, what I've been through, my activist commitment to and from disabled people, artists like Barbara Lasicki, our first ever disabled comedian, Ian Stanton, Johnny Crescendo, the Bob Dylans of our particular generation, Colin Ambrook, editor of Disability Arts Online, for his kindness and understanding, Julie McNamara of Vital Exposure, for her talent and commitment to voices that remain unheard, John Kelly and Dennis Queen, singer-songwriters for keeping a flame alive, Janine Booth, Wendy Young. These are the best of poets I have met and worked with, yet they are outside, they are moving inside. On the inside, Yoko Ono inspires me for her activism, for her wit and wisdom. I'm inspired by Leonard Cohen, who demonstrated what an iconoclastic poet could be. I am in quarantine. I am one of those defined as extremely vulnerable. One of those who has been asked to stay indoors for 3 months. So I'm looking forward to walking, to camping, to being outdoors. But more than that, I'm looking forward to getting my activist poet's life back on the tracks. I was taking 3 guide words forward into 2020 to be a troubadour, a collaborator, and to lead workshops. I meant to travel, to meet and work with new people, extend the reach of my poetry into other art settings. I was working with illustrators, filmmakers, musicians, and I wanted to aid and assist others through workshopping to look at possibilities which poetry offers. So, my name, as I said before, is Richard Downs. You can find me at r.downs@yahoo.co.uk. Just to tell you that when you're spelling Downs, spell it Downes. I'm on Twitter at Social Modelling, or you can find my weekly poems on disability arts online at https://blog/author/Richard-Downs. It will be good to meet you. Thank you for listening. I would welcome any questions. Thank you.